It seems we are here again. I made a video a while back about The Strangers Chapter 1 where I discussed that it being a remake, reboot, reimagining, there are so many words I've heard thrown around for this movie. Anyway, that wasn't the problem with the movie. I'm going to put a card up here so that if you want to watch that, you can. But if you do, please make sure you come back on this one because we are doing this for the second time. We are discussing The Strangers Chapter 2 and unfortunately everything wrong with it. In The Strangers Chapter 1, I discussed a lot of things that could be changed in a few scenes that I believed would have helped the story be better. Personally, I didn't enjoy the story. I didn't like it. I was bored. And the same could be said for this one. I was bored even more, but I don't want to do the thing where I talk about the movie being bad because one, it's going to be a very short video. Two, it's not going to be productive for any reason because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have done that way before me. What I would like to do and what I think I want to start doing with movies I don't quite enjoy is just say things I think would be an improvement. And this is because I think it'd be good to spark a discussion in what you guys who are watching will also do to improve the movie. Because let's not lie to ourselves. Sometimes we, the audience, are better writers. Yes, we are. Because the people that are doing this, I don't think they care. They sound like they do in their interviews. They throw a lot of words around, but I think that there's a lot of potential that they ignore just to push out a movie. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be discussing the ways that Chapter 2 could have been better. And before I go into the things I want to change, I feel very sad to say this. But in Chapter 1, which I still do not like, when it came to things to change, I changed the scenes. Little things I think would have been an improvement. But in this one, I'm not even going to bother. I won't even bother with changing a scene. I am changing most of the movie because I feel like they didn't know what to do with this middle movie, but they really wanted 3. When 3 comes out, I'm willing to bet anyone, not official money, obviously, I'm willing to bet anyone that 3 could have fit into 2 and made a 1 hour and 30-minute movie that could have been given and done with. And they made the choice that no, we want it to be a trilogy, so this is what we're going to do. Now, getting to changing the scenes. Don't hate me, but we're still taking another path before I get to why I'm making this change. Talk to Me. What I liked about Talk to Me is the same thing I liked about Weapons and what I found interesting about Bring Her Back, which, by the way, that movie is absolutely disgusting. But still, there's one thing all 3 of them have that make them a good movie in my eyes, and that is the fact that whatever entity, whatever material that was being worked with, some of them were allowed to keep a level of mystery to them. In Talk to Me with the hand, we do get a little bit of explanation as to how the hand came to be. It's not official because it's just a bunch of students saying what they think happened. It could be what actually happened, but we never get to actually see the origin of the hand. And as I'm saying this, I am knocking on wood, praying whatever is necessary that the writers never decide to make a Talk to Me 2 and destroy all this by giving it a backstory. That being said, we hear when they're having their exposition that there should be another hand in existence. And at the end of Talk to Me, we see Mia. She dies. She enters the hand because she dies while under the influence of said hand. And when she opens her eyes, like another person is activating the hand, we see a whole different group of people from where I believe is a completely different area. So that leaves me, the audience, thinking, wait, everybody pause. Not only are there 2 hands in existence, but the 2 hands are linked. It's not like if you die to one hand, you get stuck into one hand. Do you know what that means for Mia's character? If it was just the one hand, it's possible that Mia could have at least shaken somebody's hand and seen a familiar face, but she has been transported to a whole different place. I don't even know how far she is from Australia, where I think it was shot. I don't remember very well if they were even speaking English. I truly love that they kept the mystery of the hand. Just give you a little, it came from this and this. They didn't give it an entire lore and background. Next up is Weapons. Weapons has even more mystery around the character of Gladys. She claims that she is the aunt of Alex's mother, but Alex's mother doesn't even remember her that well. Alex's father said he's never seen her. Her story is heavily inconsistent. They say they haven't seen this woman in 15 years. She says she hasn't seen Alex since he was born, and Alex is not 15 years old. Then a comment made this clear for me. When she was speaking to the principal, she said that the parents had a touch of consumption, which apparently is a word for tuberculosis centuries ago. So this lady possibly could be centuries years old. Exactly why I love the mystery, because it allows me to think. We start adding our own points to the story as to how is she the way she is. But I don't want an explanation to everything truthfully. And personally, from the interviews I've seen from the writers and directors, I'm not sure which they are, forgive me, they keep insisting that the audience wanted to know more about the strangers. And again, personally, because I do know there are a lot of people who prefer backstories and lore and whatnot, I do not. If your movie comes with it, why not? Great. If it's the basis of your movie, I don't like it. Because they claim they're doing this for the audience. I personally don't believe that, because I've never watched a stranger's movie, watched a stranger's reaction, to the original movie, and seen in the barrage of comments. I really wish we knew how The Strangers came to be. Does that mean it doesn't exist? No. Does that mean that every audience does not care about The Strangers lore? No. But as a writer, as a director, I believe you have to ask yourself, is it really necessary to go down this route? And personally, I do not think it is. That's why I'm changing most of the movie, because I feel like they should never have tried to give the strangers a lore. Let's start rewriting the story. Now, a lot of reimagining is going to go on with this reimagining. So buckle your seatbelts for the ride, and let's see how much you agree with the changes I'm about to make. The Strangers Chapter 2 is going to open with the strangers leaving the town just as the original movie ended, with them leaving the town. I think it would have been good if they brought that back. But just like with the original, we're not showing faces, we're not showing anything that is a marker that they could be identified with, so the audience still does not know who they are. Remember, my point is that they should never have tried to give the strangers a face or a lore. So the strangers are driving out of town because they think they've killed Ryan and his girlfriend. Is it Mia? So the strangers are leaving town and they meet those little boys. The little boys reprise their roles and ask, "Are you a sinner?" If you have the strangers say something different this time, other than what they said in the original movie, I wouldn't mind. But they see another car coming in, and we, the audience, see it from their perspective, because remember, we're not seeing their faces. So a camera turns to watch another car with another couple go right past. The strangers turn to face each other and share a look, but we don't get to see the decision because the strangers do not talk. Then we switch to our couple. The Strangers movie, the original, came with a couple that was driving back from a dinner, a wedding, but there was a little bit of tension, and we get to realize, oh no, the man had proposed, the lady was not ready, but I think they were still trying to go for, she still loves him, just not ready to marry him, that's all. So that was a tension in that relationship before the strangers come knocking. Where's Tamara? The Strangers Chapter 1 had Ryan and his girlfriend driving towards the town, but they were different from the first movie because these two were in love with each other. They were planning a future together, I think. I don't know what the stuff she mentioned they got approved for in the car. They arrived at the cabin all flirty, all do you want to make out? They were actually in love. Which, honestly, was a difference I appreciated. I hate when remakes make everything similar. So I always like to find the changes that they make to a story. I know how hypocritical that sounds making this video where I'm changing the things they did, but we move on. If that is the first, the second, what should be the third? I feel like it would be good to make them a mix of both people. There's love, but there's also obviously some tension. Why? And this is where it gets interesting because of what I thought about. I think I would make the man a rich, wealthy guy who just has a lot of issues finding love. And so he decides to get himself a service worker. Yes. He decides to get himself a service worker who is going to be with him for as long as he can pay her, because he's technically paying somebody for her. She's not completely independent. She's working for somebody and he is paying off her time continuously. So let me paint the scene. After the strangers see them go by, we are facing the couple's direction now. and we see them all lovey-dovey. We see the woman, let's name her Y, because the guy is going to be named X, because my creativity only has limits when I'm trying to spit this out in 30 minutes. But we see Y completely dotes on this man. Just imagine it. Every word from his mouth looks like honey to her. And she's always touching his hair, his hands, praising him, telling him he's this and that, and he's eating it up. We build that. We show them get somewhere very interesting. They have gotten to the cabin. Which cabin, you ask? The same cabin that Ryan and Mia were just slaughtered in. But the shock doesn't come from them arriving at the cabin. It comes from them arriving at the cabin completely fixed. And I won't tell you why just yet, because that is going to be for further down the line in this story I'm trying to write. When they get to the cabin, they mention how they've booked this Airbnb and they were so happy that it was available. They wanted a space from the city, blah, blah, blah. And as the girlfriend Y is talking and talking, he puts this luxurious, imagine the most expensive jewel in the world, a Hope diamond. Yes. He puts this Hope diamond encrusted necklace on her neck. And let's say it's the first time we also see her hand, because she's going to like touch it. She's in love with it. Obviously, she knows he's giving her something. And you see more jewels on her hands. You start to get the inkling that this guy also showers her a lot, because before in the car, you only see her showering him with words and praises. And now you're seeing him shower her with all these gifts. And as they're having this fun time where she's in love with this gift he's gotten her, she's telling him how he's the best in the world. He goes off and we see her look at her phone, where maybe we get a message from her pimp that she better not get too comfortable, because if he doesn't pay at X amount of time, he's coming for her. That is where I feel as the audience can get more involved with the story. And you then see him maybe in another room speaking to a family member, and they do something that kind of degrades him, where you get the impression that despite having everything, he doesn't have the love and respect of his family, even though he does his best for them. We may have it end with whichever family member he's speaking with mention his kept woman, followed by him ending the call, being sad, and then proceeding to show him pay for the time that the lady just got threatened for. And then she comes in, maybe hugs him from behind, shows him a little love, and he would just mention something like, it's all taken care of, don't worry, we're going to enjoy our time together. That sets up something, I feel like that sets up something good, right? It's not the perfect couple, but they're not happy like Mia and Ryan, and they're not miserable like the first couple from the first movie. But she then tells him, baby, there's some beer in the fridge. Let me get one for you. You need it. And he says, yes, thank you. Why do I mention beer? Because we are now in the issue of the cabin. When they arrived, I mentioned that the cabin was completely normal. No blood, no tape, nothing to show that two people have been terrorized and one murdered in this cabin. Why? I honestly personally feel like leaning into the town not completely caring about foreigners is actually a good thing. And it's also very terrifying to know that you can actually die in a place and your death gets completely covered up just because the townspeople couldn't care less. They were foreigners, they were rich, they were wealthy, and the townspeople, whether they lived or not, they couldn't care. Obviously, they even showed that the sheriff couldn't care less about the investigation, so why bother with the investigation? Because I, as the audience, I already feel like it's not going to go anywhere. The man is literally, I don't know what to call it. Is it the Heisman? Just putting his hand up to every evidence, every proof that he sees, and trying to turn his deputy's head away from it as well, because he doesn't care less. So let's lean into that. Let's lean into the fact that the town isn't precisely malicious, but they would rather not have their world turned upside down by two people that are unknown. So they fix the windows, they tear out the tape, there's no longer an investigation, an officially recorded investigation. Nothing of a sort is going on. So when the couple come in, the only proof that Ryan and Mia were ever there is the beer or whatever is left of the beer that they had in the fridge. And our new couple, X and Y, are helping themselves to it. X and Y are having a good time. Now, let me make sure this is clear. This is all happening under 20 minutes. From the beginning where we see the strangers to when the strangers appear in my story, I want it to be under 20 minutes of sorts. I think that's fair. Then we hear the knock. The strangers have decided that instead of leaving this town, there's one more couple that just came in, so why not terrorize them as well? This allows it to still be random, because they're choosing this couple for the simple reason that they saw them coming in. Y hears a knock and wakes X up. Like, baby, do you hear that? The knock, 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 knock. They look at the time. Let's say it's not too late to actually receive someone at the house. Let's say it's like 5, 6. So they go, they speak with the door shut, and they go, who is there? And then you hear our favorite word, is Tamara here? And as soon as that question ends, Mia wakes up in the hospital, and we are completely cut from that scene. Mia wakes up in the hospital. Mia is disgruntled. She's confused. We, as the audience, don't know how long she's been in the hospital. And obviously, flashes of what she has been through start going in her head, start flooding her mind. She sees Ryan being murdered, and Madeline actually acted her terror and fear and sadness well, in my opinion. We can have her have a mental breakdown, have a nurse rush in to tell her that, hey, it's all right, you're safe here, you're awake now. Try and calm her down, tell her that there is someone here to take her statements. The police come in, aloof and useless as usual, and pretend to take her story. I say pretend because obviously they have wiped out all the evidence from the cabin. So whatever they're taking, there's no proof in that cabin that looks absolutely perfect. But Mia is alive, and as useless as they are, they can't kill her just to keep their secret. They're not that malicious. So they take her statement, they promise her that they will be back, they're going to investigate this thoroughly and aggressively, as they usually promise everybody they would. And when they leave, Maya goes back to mourning. Maybe to waste time a little more, the nurse comes in again before leaving, and as Maya is, just lying down, then she hears that there's someone getting attacked. Just as she hears it in the movie, but at the 30-minute mark, or at the 40-minute or 30-minute mark at this point, I don't know how long I want this to go on for. Maybe 10 minutes is fine. So if the couple takes 20, Maya's investigation, waking up, mourning and crying, takes another 10 or 15. So that is 35 minutes into the story at this point, right? And I think that's still a tight pace to keep. Maya hears someone getting killed at the 35-minute mark. We have a more decent chase scene. Forgive me if I don't spend time writing out this part or narrating out this part. It's just I feel like the chase scene could have been better, but I don't exactly know how. Just hide in better places. I don't mind her finding Ryan's body, but Maya starts getting chased by the strangers. But we, the audience, know that the strangers are currently terrorizing X and Y. So, who are you? Are you the strangers? Because I want the scene of Maya running away from the strangers to intercut with X and Y being terrorized by said strangers. When Maya hides where Ryan's body is kept and, is staring down the eyes of the stranger, it could also just intercut, like the scene could intercut with Y or X hiding. X has his hands on Y's mouth, trying to cover her mouth as she's crying, and they're staring into the eyes of a stranger. As they are being terrorized, Maya is being terrorized. Maya breaks out of the hospital. She finds a way to leave. And X and Y find a way to also leave the cabin. The same back and forth story. Try to find a weapon. Try to run into the woods. Try to get away from the strangers. Maya is also going to be having her little moments of sadness because while she's trying to run for her life, let's not forget that this is the same Maya from chapter 1. She likes to cry and she has a lot to cry about now. Her boyfriend is dead. Her life is in danger again, and I'm sure this girl is in pain. But she runs and runs and runs, and she finds her way to the woods. And these woods look familiar to us in the audience I'm trying to create, because it's the same woods that X and Y have just been caught in at this point of the story and have been dragged back to the cabin. Maya then notices the cabin by accident. Maya has ran all night and ended up at the cabin that she was attacked at. She doesn't end up at a nurse's house. That was a waste of a story. She doesn't meet the weirdos. Another waste of a story. But if you want to keep that to pad the runtime, maybe. I didn't like it at all. I would have preferred that she stayed in the woods because I didn't understand how the strangers just kept finding her left and right. They should be only 3. But then I realized that maybe they meant it that the town were all strangers or all stranger worshippers or something. So whenever Maya went somewhere, someone from the town will alert the official strangers that, hey, Maya is here, come for her, because that is the only way it makes sense. In the original movie, the strangers had a way of getting into places because the main couple were kept between the house and the barn. So at some point, they're going to find you. But this one, they expanded it to the entire town and they could still find Maya anywhere, which I found ridiculous. So Maya sees the cabin, and I'll let the story going on here, and it's wrecked, but it's not wrecked how she remembers. I want to believe that there are going to be different destructions on the newly reformed cabin that shows Maya that this cabin does not look how exactly I remember this. I don't see a single thing that shows that I was here. And inside the cabin, we have the strangers being questioned by X and Y who have unfortunately gotten captured. X gets stabbed. He tells Y that she has been the most amazing part of his life. He doesn't care how they met or why they're still together. And he loves her even though she doesn't believe it. And when he says that, maybe she jumps in to say, I love you too, even if you don't believe it. You've also been the best. But, they kind of keep that dynamic of praising each other. Two people who loved each other despite the circumstances, and stab. Y gets her own to the chest. Maya is still approaching the house as this is happening. And I feel like I want it to be as if the audience thinks Maya is going to walk into this and be so confused to find the strangers doing their business. X falls, dies. Y falls, dies. If you want to keep them asking, why are you doing this, and keeping in the original answer, again, I don't mind. But just as they fall, the door opens and Maya walks in to a crime scene. When Maya sees the cabin, I want it to be like it's not a full view of the cabin that she sees. It's just maybe close to the door, and the door doesn't look as axed. It doesn't look as axed as she remembers it being. Something will be different for her to know that the cabin had something happen to it while she was in the hospital. As she enters, we then get a clear shot of the entire cabin where we then see yellow tape around the house. And she walks in to an empty space. There's blood, chalks that detectives use to draw the map of where a corpse was at. And it's obviously in a different spot in the house. We, the audience, now know that A, these people have died a while ago. B, Maya is now in this cabin and there is no one here for her to save, and there is no one here to save her. Just to rush it, I think this can happen and leave 10 minutes in the movie. So 35 minutes when she hears the strangers come to the hospital, and from that to the last 10 minutes, she's running for her life, and the other couple was also running for their life, but we as the audience didn't realize that they were running for their life days ago. And why? I don't know how to put this information within the story, but I want it to be that at some point after killing the main couple, they learned from either the sheriff or a gossip in the town that the first person to be attacked, one of them survived. So after they had killed X and Y, they now decided to go and kill Maya just to make sure that, she is dead. And that is why when Maya woke up after being asleep for days, because it has been days since her incident, they were already at the hospital ready to kill her. Maya tries her best to survive, and let's say in the last 10 minutes, she gives one stranger, I think she kills one in chapter 2. Let's make that kill gruesome. She has now learned by the evidence she has seen that another couple, maybe as happy as she and Ryan were killed. But that kind of pushes her into anger, because how do you just go around destroying lives like this? So when she gets on Pinup, she gives her the I've lost my mind and now want to taste blood kind of murder. As in, I'm talking taking a rock and smashing her head open. I'm talking smashing the head so hard, she breaks the mask into chunks that pierce her face. So we as the audience, when we finally have Scarecrow come to cry over her, there is no face to expose. That's how hard Maya lit her up. And then you can put your little happy to be continued. I don't know how much of this little changes, not little, that's a gigantic change to the story. I don't know how much of the changes you guys think would have made the story better, but I feel like if they had another whole slasher thing going on, and also Maya running away from her own slasher thing, only for it to come together to show that the timeline the audience was seeing was a bit distorted, and then have the final 10 minutes just be Maya doing her best to stay alive and also get revenge for herself and whoever the couple is, because don't forget, Maya doesn't know who they are. And then they end the movie. I feel like that would have been a better chapter 2. Again, I mean, no offense, although I'm sure I'm sounding very offensive, but that is what I feel like should have been done for The Strangers chapter 2. Thank you guys for listening in on my what I hope was a coherent narration on the improvements I believe chapter 2 should have made. If chapter 3 comes out, I would hope that I could do this again. I honestly feel that chapter 2 would have had so much potential if they had dropped the entire plan of giving chapter 2 any lore from the strangers. That is not what this entire trilogy could have been made about. They could have done a Kill Bill-like trilogy. I say Kill Bill knowing that Maya is not like that, but she could become it. You don't have to be perfect to be mad and crazy and kill some people who have destroyed your life. You just have to have the drive for it. If you follow like my trend and the strangers are now down one person, chapter 3, the strangers aren't just trying to look for Maya to cover their ass anymore. They're trying to look for Maya to kill her because she's just killed 1/3 of their crew. And Maya, while she wants to survive, is down to make sure she eliminates them one by one and would have to now get skills she's not had before to make sure that she can do this. It's either I live or we all die together type of thing. That's how I felt like it should have gone. Thank you guys for watching this video. You can click on any of these here to watch other reviews if you're interested. Follow, subscribe, like the video, join the Patreon if you're interested in other types of content, and I will see you on the next one.